Welcome to the FX Masterclass, and my name is Ernest Rowe. Today's topic is FX Panthera. What we're going to do, we're going to totally dismantle and get into the pressure boundary and show you all the O-rings that may leak. All right, let's hop to it. First thing is dig gas a gun. Now, bleed the plenum. You hear that short burst, I mean the plenum is still full. So verify by your gauge also. I'm going to disassemble this section of it. You gotta remove this cover plate. Right here's 4 screws. They're just a cover. Now you gotta loosen these 4 screws here that mounts to the action. If they're really tight, I would suggest using an Allen to break them loose first, because this ball Allen, they're not really, used to break really high torque. You end up stripping the head. Then you use your ball. Now, what seals this adapter to the action is this O-ring here. All right, and remove the bottle. Just move all the chick rests, but now the air patches goes all the way through here, right? And these 2 bolts have to be removed, and usually these are pretty tight. You may need to get a vise to loosen it. Now, what seals this piece from that one is an O-ring here. There. Now, what seals this bolt, because it goes to the pressure boundary. What seals this is the Delron sleeve is in here. So when you compress the bolt, it seals on a smooth part of the bolt here. All right. Now, you gotta remove the bottle adapter. These are Loctited on, right? I wouldn't remove that unless it's leaking from here. All it is a dowty seal sealing it from this piece here. But if you break it loose, you need to clean all the Loctite and put it back in. It could be a little messy. But I'm gonna leave this on for now. Oh, there is a dowdy seal. Same seal is on this side. It's same thing on the other side. All right, we'll take this 4 cap screws off. Anyway, to remove this, you're gonna use this 24 mil socket. All right. And guarantee you, when you remove this, it's going to mold up or remove the anodizing off the head. I wouldn't remove it unless it's necessary. Because it's very important this piece is Loctited. Because if you screw the bottom on there tight, and if it's not Loctited, this adapter will stay on this piece. You'll end up backing it out on this piece here. Then you have a blowout. Now when you're looking for leak, this O-ring here, it will leak around here. So go all the way around the leak tech. If it's blowing out of that gap, it's this corporate O-ring here. Flip it over, and then there's the O-ring. All right, now there's a plug here. Like I said, it's been milled all the way through. And this one is a brass plug. There you go. And that's all a pressure boundary on your rear end. Now, except for this Foster here. This Foster need a 14 mil to get it off. It should leak around here. That'd be a 10x1 O-ring that would cause a leak. Now, if there's pressure in the gun, if it leaks there, this white O-ring here need to be replaced. Well, usually you just remove it, clean it, look inside the O-ring, there's no damage, put it back in. Usually it would create a seal. Usually a lot of dirty air, this baby here kind of traps it in here. All right, now we'll disassemble the front end. This rail need to come off. Now when your whole rail assembly adapter's been removed, this is going to expose a brass plug, oh that one, and these two plugs. Those, they're plugs, but there's an O-ring in here. Right, if you do a leak tech, if it leaks out of here, there's only one O-ring in there. That piece there. And that O-ring is the same size as this. Alright, to remove this valve retainer, the shroud of the plenum need to come off. To slide the plenum off, this clamp need to be loosened. It's 2.5. Just loosen it. And this barrel mounting screw, just loosen a couple turns. And sometime this is tightened down on the barrel, make sure they're locked tight. So I just kind of loosen a little bit. Now we could pull the barrel out. You gotta pull this gently now because O-ring sometimes gets caught here, and this edge here is kind of sharp. If you pull it hard, you're going to nick this O-ring. It's because it rides on here. All right. Now to remove this plenum, right, it takes a lot of force because they force this on there pretty tight. It needs to be, because when the plenum gets filled, it has a tendency to flex. So you want to keep it tight against the action, all right, to minimize flexing. So I loosen this up on a vise with a rubber jaw. It seems like it's easy, but it's not. But you need a vise with a rubber jaw to get this off. And to put it back on, you need to do the same thing. All right. This cap here that seals the plenum. This cap is sealed by this O-ring here when it's inside. Now what seals the barrel, all right, there's two O-rings in there. One is really close to get out, and one is way further in. Yeah, about this size, like 14 by 2 it is. All right, there's two of them. Get the other one out and replace it. Well, if that one leaks, it will leak, first most, it will leak between this gap here. If you put leak tech, you'll see a bubble on the side here. And the other one, in this hairline, you put leak tech, it'll leak out of here if this O-ring leaks. That one. All right, that's all the O-rings in this piece. Now, the plenum gets sealed on the rear end by this O-ring. Same size as that one. To get this piece here that seals the barrel from the plenum, you need a 19 mil open end, because the box end won't fit. Oh, it does fit. You see, it just spins over it. You need to use the open end. This piece here supports the barrel and seals it. There's an O-ring here because it seals the shoulder right here. There. There's only one in this piece. Now, there's another O-ring inside the action that sits right here. Now, if this O-ring leaks and this one leaks, it will leak towards the transfer port hole, and it will come out the barrel, right? Especially this rear one, If it leaks, it'll leak out the transport hole. Now, if this one leaks, usually if this part is not really has a good seal on the Loctite, it will leak out inside the liner. So when we do spray it, it's in between this gap here. It'll come out between the barrel and this jam nut on the side, not inside the liner. All right. Now we're going to remove this plug. Special tool. This valve retainer, there's an O-ring on the outside. All right, so when you do a leak test, you spray it outside the body. If it does leak, it's this O-ring. Now, when you do a leak test, you gotta be careful, really examine when you do a leak test. If the inner O-ring leaks, it'll leak right here where the valve pin goes in and out. And this outer one will leak very close to each other. So really keen eye where it's coming from, the leak. All right, this is usually this top hat called a spring retainer. And the O-ring is that piece there that seals the valve pin. And here's a spring. And here's the valve. Key note to look for in here, make sure this Delrin from this cone stainless is not separated. If it does separate, there'll be a gap in between here, and it'll cause you a low velocity and the extreme spread is really pretty high. Usually get a new valve pin if that happens. Now, inside here, I don't recommend going in there because it needs some kind of special tools and you might cause damage. It's better to send it in and get that replaced. And this is the part I'm talking about. This actual seat for the valve pin. All right. And to seal this valve seat, and there's an O-ring inside the action that seals it around here. All right. Then there's an O-ring inside here to seal this valve pin when you fire the gun. All right. The blast from the flow, this O-ring prevents from blowing inside the action. All right. If it does over travel and knock that O-ring out when you shoot, it'll be kind of loud, and you'll feel pressure from this vent hole here underneath the mag. On both sides, you hear a puff. All right. Then if this outer O-ring leaks, it will come out the same spot and blow. So it'd be this O-ring or that one if it's blowing out this vent here. All right, so it's tricky and difficult to remove this, and I recommend just sending it into warranty repair. All right, and if this somehow this Delrin is not conforming to the metal seat, all right, even though with the new valve pin, if it's still leaking here, it will come out the barrel. All right. Now, what seals the barrel in here, all right, from the Plenum, there's an O-ring that sits here and here. All right. Then this piece is sealed by this O-ring in action. We'll remove those. Now, the pick has to be modified. You want to pick the pre-shaped, pre-angled. You need to bend it to really work. All right, that's the O-ring. Now, the tricky one is inside. It's about 4 mil past this O-ring. There's another groove. You need a lighter area to get to it. Now, then the next one, I would cock it and put it in a safe. Then this one you can access it because it's about 2 mil. You can see the O-ring. There. Mind you, this barrel mount has to be tight, and the clamp. If you fire a lot, you might see this barrel, go forward and get out of place. Since this O-ring is very limited sealing area here, if that barrel moves back, it will blow out the mag side. And you'll dump all your air. Now we're going to remove the gauges. There's a couple of O-rings in there. Flip it over. There's 2 O-rings here. 1, 2. Now, usually these gauges are sitting on a quad ring and Loctited. And sometimes they are tedious to get out. Usually just remove the sleeve. You get a socket wrench to remove it. Usually clean all the Loctite out of it and replace the quad ring if that leaks. And this plug I showed you earlier didn't remove. Yeah. Now, here's a bleed for the regulator, and there's a drill hole in there, and it's actually this piece here is a plug. It's sitting on a plastic Delrin seat. So it's really easy to check that, but if you remove it, let's go remove it anyway. It's 2.5. It's really a short screw. Right there, and you can't really tell there's a white Delrin seat in there. Now the regulator, just the grip, need to be removed. Maybe we could access it here. There's 2.5. Red screw. Regulator. Now, when you're looking testing for leak while it's pressurized, this O-ring here will leak out the edge here. Then the reg screw, if the back O-ring here from the hex side, it will leak out here. So really keen look at it, make sure it's not leaking from here or there. So indicate where it's leaking from. All right. Now, it's best to remove this pistol grip in assembly. Now when you get this trigger guard off, you gotta be careful for the safety spring. They're really easy to lose and forget. What keeps it in there is this trigger guard. The spring here. You can flip it over, easily come out there, and after that is a ball bearing for your safety, indent. Now we're going to remove the piston. Now on your plenum side, if this O-ring leg on your piston, it'll come out this hole here. Then if this O-ring here that seals the piston, if it leaks, it will leak out this vent hole. And I said that 10x1 O-ring inside there, if that leaks, it will leak out here. There you go. We broke all the pressure boundary on FX Panthera. Our next video is going to take a long time because it's precision, a lot of cleaning, and going through FX Sweden. You go to support and go down to drawing and part list and go down to Panthera. It will cover all the O-ring on this gun. So make this video flow faster. That's why I'm describing the O-ring size. I can't remember them all, but go to the part list. It will give you the right size. All right, we'll catch you next video.